Hello friends, this is your friend back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto revived the Senju clan and built his own harem with Tsunade? Episode 3. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's start. How could this have happened? The former Jonin was now at the memorial stone, thinking on how this could have happened. Where did he go wrong? This has to be some sort of nightmare, right? Team 7 terminated and he was demoted to Chunin. How will he explain this to the others? That he's been demoted. With Sasuke. How dare that Senju bitch deprive him of his vengeance? She has no right to do it. Is it his destiny to get revenge on Itachi? How will he grow stronger? How could that have made Naruto get off so easily and get promoted to Chunin? It isn't fair. Maybe that Senju bitch is probably doing this out of a grudge against the Uchiha clan being more favored than the Senju clan. That has to be the case. He must go to the councils and elders for this, because he will not stand for any of this. With Sakura, she walked aimlessly onto the streets, head hung low, and crying. She's no longer a kunoichi, she's now a reduced civilian like Sasuke-kun. Her beloved Sasuke-kun is visibly upset by this turn of events. How could this have happened? Sakura asked herself as she then thought back on Naruto. Naruto, that blonde idiot. He probably did this out of complete jealousy. That idiot is definitely the cause of this. He was always jealous of Sasuke-kun. Spat inner Sakura. Sakura clenched her fists in anger now knowing who's to blame for all of this. Naruto. He was always so jealous of Sasuke-kun that he chose to do this all because she constantly chooses Sasuke over him. She needs to do something. She would proceed to go look for the blonde idiot who ruined everything for her because of his jealousy. She immediately paused, remembering Tsunade's threat. If you ever lay your hands on him ever again. Tsunade whispers her threat to Sakura, with Sakura looking at her with wide eyes. Sakura shivered lightly, she was scared. She didn't want to die, and pissing off the strongest woman in Konoha, who could kill her in many ways, probably wouldn't be the best idea. What did Naruto do to get Tsunade on his side? Maybe she can go home to her parents and tell them what happened. Her father is likely on the civilian council, so is her mother. Maybe they can convince Tsunade to give her another chance. This has to work. If not, then she'll have to go with plan B. She'll have to act nice to Naruto and maybe convince him to get Tsunade to give her another chance as a kunoichi again, maybe convince him to bring Team 7 back. That idiot will do anything for me, she thought with a smile. If plan A didn't work then plan B will have to do. With Jiraiya, the Toad Sage was currently in the Konoha hospital, bandaged and in a full body cast groaning in pain after the beating Tsunade gave him. Almost every bone in his body is broken, and it seems that he will be in the hospital for a while, because if Tsunade was this pissed, then chances are that she's not going to heal him anytime soon. Senju Clan home. After getting Naruto's room together, Shizune would be looking for her sensei, who so happens to be in the living room as if Tsunade had been waiting for her. So how did it go? Tsunade asked, holding a cup of green tea. He loved his room. He's currently enjoying it. I'm so happy that you decided to take Naruto-kun in. I'm happy that we are actually going to be a family. What made you adopt him? Shizune asked her mentor. She then noticed something off about her sensei. Tsunade looked happy. And was she seeing things or was her sensei glowing? Tsunade for her part just smiled warmly. I had my reasons for adopting him. He's an Uzumaki like me. I'm literally his family now. And since we are now a family, things are going to change around here in Shizune. And with you as his big sister, I feel that you should connect with him more like a big sister should, Tsunade would say to Shizune as her warm smile never left her face. I will do just that. I will do plenty of bonding with him tomorrow. I'll be heading back to the hospital, Shizune says heading out. See you later, Tsunade said while watching Shizune leave. Perhaps tomorrow, she'll give Shizune an off day from the hospital and plan how to get Shizune to bond with Naruto. And she has just the idea to do it. Naruto. Tsunade calls out as she hears him run down the stairs coming into the dining room. What's up, Ba-chan? Naruto asked to see her get up from her seat and walk over to him with her hand resting on his head. I want you to get nice and dressed. Tonight we are celebrating your promotion as Chunin. She tells him. Okay. He replies. Yes. We are going out to dinner. Consider it a date, Tsunade says, stroking his face affectionately, making him blush. I'm going on a date with Ba-chan. He says to himself, blushing. Come on now, honey. Let's get ready. Tsunade says to usher him to go get ready. If she's planning on getting him drunk tonight, she needs to get him to drink the strongest sake alcohol that will effectively make him drunk. Later on, Naruto would be dressed in something different than his orange jumpsuit. He would wear orange and black pants, with matching shoes, an orange and black top with long sleeves. He would be waiting for Tsunade to come down from her room since she is getting dressed. I'm ready for Naruto-kun. Tsunade would say, making Naruto glance at her, as he saw her walking down the stairs in a green dress, wearing a green collared choker, the top of it exposed most of her fat. The dress had flower decals on it. As she walked down with each step making her jiggle. She wore a vanilla-like scent perfume on her. As she could see, Naruto was staring. Naruto never realized how beautiful Tsunade was. Tsunade would take notice of this and smiled. Like it? She asked, walking towards him, seeing Naruto's mouth hanging open. As she closed his mouth. Why yes. You look nice, Ba-chan, he says, looking away with a blush. She giggled lightly as she took his arm and intertwined it with hers. Let's go, she says as both would leave the house. Now in the village, what felt like 5 minutes, both Naruto and Tsunade were walking together with their arms linked. Catching the attention of many onlookers, they knew better than to say any negative things, if they see the Hokage present with the demon brat. And they decided to keep their mouths shut. All they could do was just stay quiet and stare. Ba-chan. They are staring at us. Naruto whispered as he felt Tsunade pull him close. I know. Hold your head high. Because they know the moment they say something negative towards you, I won't tolerate it. Tsunade says, giving the villagers a glare that made them flinch at the sight, as if she was daring them to say anything. They immediately looked away. Naruto did as Tsunade told him, kept his head up high. As he faced Tsunade in a new light. The Sandaime Hokage was hardly like this with him. They would soon go to a bar and restaurant. The host would greet them in. Until he saw Naruto standing with Tsunade. He froze as Tsunade gave him a stern look. Is there a problem? Tsunade challenged with a raised eyebrow. No Hokage-sama, it's just that, he tried to say. He's with me. Do we have a problem? Tsunade said with her stern glare increasing. No. Allow me to guide you to your table. He says, now taking Tsunade and Naruto to their table. No one dared to say anything. Civilians and shinobi alike in the bar stayed quiet. Naruto would smile at Tsunade with her smiling back as the waiter came. What can I get you to? He asked. Plenty of chicken tenders. Plus, I want the strongest sake you have here in your bar. I want it specifically for me and him. Tsunade answered, making the waiter now face Naruto. I'll take a large bowl of pork ramen please. Naruto says as the waiter wrote down the orders. As they waited for their orders, the two would talk for a while. And when their food got here, they immediately started eating. While Tsunade was also pouring up their sake cups. And it is the strongest sake in the restaurant. Tsunade would give Naruto his cup. Take your cup, she says as he picked it up, inspecting the sake as he looked at Tsunade. Congratulations on your promotion as Chunin, Naruto. And with that, Tsunade took the first sip as Naruto was hesitant at first but took his sip, tasting the strong booze. Oh, that's strong, he says as Tsunade chuckled. Come on Naruto. Let's keep drinking. If you want to be Hokage someday, you gotta drink like one. She urged him as he would immediately resume drinking the sake while Tsunade took small sips. She wanted to see if he would get drunk. Naruto gulped down the whole cup as his cheeks began to get red. Wow, this feels, he starts. Good and liberating, right? Here are some more. She poured him up more sake as he would drink again, feeling his world go hazy, face red and has on a semi-drunken expression. Tsunade smiled watching Naruto drinking the 4th cup of sake as he smiled drunkenly, holding his 5th cup of sake. Oh Kami. This stuff is wicked. Drunk, Naruto says. Ready to go home. Tsunade asked if she couldn't drink anymore. All she did was watch Naruto drink. Yeah. He jumped up smiling, then stumbled until Tsunade caught him. Leaning on her belly. As she stood up, catching him, his hands wrapped around her wide hips. Then let's go, she carried him in bridal style, walking out the door. Senju home. Tsunade had returned as she carried the drunk Naruto up to her bedroom. She laid Naruto on the bed, who was still drunk, as he passed out. Tsunade decided to take her clothes off, getting completely and climb into bed with him with her arms around the boy. As she too would snake her hand into his pants, grabbing his stroking him. This would immediately wake Naruto up feeling his sudden throb just from Tsunade touching him. Ba-cha, he tried to say until Tsunade leaned up to him and brought him into a deep kiss, which immediately made him kiss her back. She pulled away as a trail of saliva connected between them. Ba-chan, it's hard. He says. It's fine, stud. Let Mama Tsunade take care of it, Tsunade says immediately putting her fat in between his and start giving him a tit job, bouncing her up and down. As Naruto's throbbed harder and twitched. Oh, he's getting bigger. Kushina, if you were alive right now, I'd kiss you for giving birth to such a young stud. Tsunade says in thought, still bouncing her tits up in and down. Naruto blushed feeling how good Tsunade's tits were in between his. They feel so soft. Tsunade continued bouncing her tits up faster as Naruto groaned, clutching the blankets. Naruto's twitched and throbbed. I'm coming, he says as he sprayed his thick hot load on Tsunade's face and tits. Tsunade would lick some off her face, moaning in delight as she tasted him. It's time I teach you how to pleasure a woman, she says, switching positions as they would be in 69 positions. Naruto looked up at Tsunade's wet, her heaving fat right above him. I want you to taste my senju, while I taste this fat of yours, she says lustfully as she proceeds to smother Naruto with her. As out of instinct Naruto would lick her, making her moan lightly. Oh, yes. Just like that, she moaned as she would proceed to lick him up and down as he licked her, feeling her wet juices flow. She was grind her on his face, marking him in her juices. Ba-chans, he thought, still licking and eating out, making her moan. Why did her moans make him feel more aroused? Out of instinct he stuck his tongue inside her, drinking her flowing juices, licking her insides. Oh, he's licking me on the inside, his tongue feels so good, Tsunade moaned in thought. Yes, yes, she moaned, still licking him up and down, making him covered in her saliva while planting lots of kisses on his bitch breaker. Naruto kept up the momentum, swirling his tongue all inside her entrance. Oh, Naruto, she moaned. Ah, I'm going to come. Tsunade yelled immediately, coming on Naruto's mouth and his face, covering him in her juices. One moment Naruto would be on Tsunade's tongue while she fondled his body. Moaning as they did, they pulled away with Naruto panting, looking up at Tsunade, who had the most seductive expression ever. They would pull away while Tsunade laid on her back, spreading her legs wide, viewing her. Come, I want you to put it inside me, she says lustfully as Naruto walked over his throbbing, looking at Tsunade's own throbbing. Put it in me, stud, mama going to show you how to have your way with a woman, I want you to me. Tsunade pleaded as Naruto obeyed, feeling his own lust take over him. As he inserted himself inside her, making her throw her head back in pleasure. The sounds of lapping and clapping noises filled the room along with Tsunade's europic moans that also echoed through the room. The bed was shaking vividly as Naruto thrusted himself deeper into Tsunade's, slamming his hips forward. He grunted in pleasure as he felt Tsunade's clench his thick so tight. Tsunade was panting and moaning during all of this as she felt Naruto plunge himself so deep that she was practically screaming and drowning in her own europic pleasure. She had hard eyes looking at Naruto with love and lust. Truly happy that she has him as her personal stud. Naruto himself was panting as he held Tsunade's wide hips, thrusting with hard strokes into Tsunade's, already impaled himself into her impregnated womb. Yes, Naruto-kun, this is the way. She moaned, wrapping her thighs around his short body, keeping him in place as he kept thrusting into her. Oh, ba-cha, he said, drunk until she looked up at him. Call me mama. Honey, call me mama, she says. Mama Sue, he says as she smiled. Way better than ba-chan. I want you to call me mama. Or if you want, you can call me Tsunade-chan, she offered in between moans. Oh, mama, Naruto moaned, plowing himself into her as Tsunade looked happy that he called her mama. All her life she wanted children. She wanted to be called mommy, or mama by her own future children if she ever had any. This was before Dan had died. She always dreamed of having his children. But the moment when it was revealed that Dan's seed was infertile and that he failed to get her pregnant, that dream shattered. But now she is resolved to have children and keep the Senju clan bloodline alive. Has grown stronger and determined thanks to her finding out that Naruto being the last Uzumaki male and that he's a certified stud gave her hope again. She's in love with Naruto. And wants to only be impregnated by him, and him alone. Jiraiya can leave. She knew that idiot has feelings for her, but she will never acknowledge or accept them. He doesn't love her. He only loves her for her body. And to top it off, he's a pervert and a leech. It was no secret that Jiraiya had always been jealous of not just Orochimaru, but his student Minato, their sensei, and possibly even her. But also towards her lover Dan. He was jealous of being in everyone's shadow. It was likely no wonder he didn't want to be a part of Naruto's life and would rather care about his own needs than Naruto's. Well now, Jiraiya can't have her. Her body, mind and soul belongs only to Naruto. Naruto owns her body now. Jiraiya's pencil-shaped can't beat Naruto's fat huge bitch breaker that could put any man to shame. She often wondered how Naruto could walk with something so huge. He practically has a third leg. Even Dan's couldn't beat Naruto's. Naruto could definitely be husband material. Tsunade smiled, having a fantasy of her and Naruto getting married. In the background of the wedding would be a crying Jiraiya. Oh, Su mama. That feeling. I am going to. Circa. Come. Naruto says in between grunts of pleasure. Come in me. Dump it all in mama baby. Tsunade moaned out while looking into Naruto's drunken expression. Naruto's throbbed and twitched as he suddenly began shooting his hot thick load in Tsunade's impregnated cunt. Tsunade sighed happily, feeling her cunt and womb bloated with Naruto's thick cum. Oh. You're filled mama good, she moaned, feeling him pull out, and right after he did, he was still hard. Mama. It's still big, Naruto says looking at his throbbing. Tsunade smiled, as she immediately got on all fours, directing her big fat body to him. Naruto's eyes were glossy as he looked at Tsunade's fat dump trunk that he came to admire. He went over and looked at her. Put it inside me baby, think of it like all women must have all three of their holes on their body pleasured, their mouths, those are the holes, Tsunade urged him like a whore in heat. She really wants to see how he feels. Naruto straightens his and inserted it in her tight, making Tsunade moan, feeling him slide his huge F. Tsunade moaned as Naruto began thrusting Tsunade's thrust strongly into her. As her cheeks clapped and rippled like jelly. As the two engaged in doggy style. Naruto's eyes immediately went to glance at Tsunade's wobbling cheeks from him thrusting into her as he raised his hand and brought it down in Tsunade's cheek, making her yelp, lightly. Yes, more baby. Tsunade begged as Naruto proceeded to spank her more, causing her to moan in pleasure, enjoying having her spanked as she clenched tighter around him. Su mama, you just got tighter from me spanking it. He told her, grunting. Tsunade moaned out, feeling happy. Enjoying this pleasure. Naruto would not only keep thrusting but also keep spanking her cheeks. He would span both sides until they were both red and covered with Naruto's handprints. She was being abused and she enjoyed it. Oh, this feels so good. Why does this feel good mama? Naruto asked. Ah, that's pleasure baby, embrace it, let it flow through you, she answered, feeling his thrusts getting faster now. As she let out loud moans. Oh, I'm going to come. Naruto warned her. I want all my holes filled. She urged him as Naruto grunted and released his cum in her, spraying a thick load deep. Tsunade had a happy expression, feeling her being filled up with Naruto's cum. He pulled out, only to widen his eyes slightly, seeing his still rock hard and throbbing. Tsunade laid down panting, trying to regain her composure. Naruto's POV. Why does this feel so good? He's never felt this way before. This is the second time he's done this with Tsunade, and he's beginning to feel addicted to it. Why is he having these urges that he can't explain? Ever since he lost his virginity to Tsunade, he can't stop having these images of Tsunade being and touching him. All he could think about was Tsunade's body. He mentally compared Tsunade's body to Sakura's body. Sakura's body was petite. She was practically skin and bones. She lacked like Tsunade. She was somewhat just right but can't beat Tsunade's soft plump that's so smackable that it jiggles like jelly. Tsunade's older mature body looked superior according to Jiraiya. As if Tsunade had a well-endowed body like a goddess. She was curvy and thick in all the right places. She has a huge that could potentially be full of milk and could feed children with huge milking knockers like that. Wide hips that's potentially childbearing. And so fat and plump that you could smack it however you want. Tsunade's body is a lot more desirable and breedable than Sakura's petite skin and bone-framed body. Jiraiya did say to always appreciate a woman's body. And Tsunade was willing to give him her body. Knowing Sakura would never. Naruto would consider taking Jiraiya's words to heart. Wait a minute, Jiraiya. Something clicked for Naruto. He recalled when Tsunade told him Jiraiya was his godfather. The godfather who neglected him. During the Tsunade retrieval mission he always heard Jiraiya run his mouth about his love for Tsunade. When she clearly isn't interested in him. He also seems to remember her love for Dan. His thoughts drifted back to Jiraiya. The man who was supposed to look after him after his parents died. The man who was never there for him. He knows Jiraiya still has feelings for Tsunade. Well, too bad. Because he's going to give Jiraiya some payback for neglecting him all those years. By showing the neglectful bastard that Tsunade belongs to him. Naruto's throbbed violently. Make that toad pay by denying him a chance with Tsunade. Full of determination and confidence, Naruto grabbed Tsunade's hips and made her roll over on her back. Tsunade, who looked taken back by this, looked up at Naruto. Naruto. She spoke looking up, facing him, but then felt a shiver run down her spine. Naruto stared at her with rare dominance in his eyes. His eyes were a shade of crimson, his whisker marks on his face became darker. And that he was slightly flaring the Kyuubi's chakra. What happened next, would be Naruto spreading Tsunade's thick thighs and shoving his huge back in Tsunade's. Making her scream so loud that Naruto immediately pinned her down aggressively in full-on mating press. Ah, Naruto. Baby. She moaned looking up at him. I'm doing this because I don't want that toad to think he has a chance with you. Naruto growled asserting his newly awakened dominance and kept ramming himself aggressively inside Tsunade. Oh, Tsunade moaned. She can barely comprehend what just overcame Naruto. What happened to him that made him so assertive and dominant? Did he undergo a complete personality change? Loud clapping and lapping noises filled the room along with Tsunade's lustful howls of pleasure. As Naruto slammed himself so deep into Tsunade that she suddenly had a broken ahegao expression. Tsunade pleaded with hard eyes. Jiraiya can't have you, mama. I want you. I want to keep you and get you pregnant. Over and over. Naruto says in between thrusts. Yes, 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 my Uzumaki stud. Keep me. I want you to make me pregnant. I want to make Uzumaki babies with you. I want daughters. And I want you to make them pregnant. So that the clan can expand. Tsunade screamed in pleasure loving this Naruto. Whatever she did that made Naruto this way. She wants him to stay like this. Perhaps she can influence him to be dominant. Encourage him to be more assertive and dominant. While Naruto roughly plows himself into Tsunade. Meanwhile, Shizune would enter the Senju Clan home coming back from the hospital at this time of the night wondering if Naruto or Tsunade were up. Shizune would go up to Naruto's room expecting him there in his sleep only to find him not there. Confused, Shizune wonders where Naruto go. But then she got her answer when she heard Tsunade moan. Is she seeing someone? She wonders who's the man who took her master's heart. Has she moved on from her Uncle Dan? The young woman faced her pig Taunton who only shrugged. Being nosy, Shizune decided to see who did her master bring here. She walked down the hall to Tsunade's door and reached to open it. Oh Naruto-kun, mama. Tsunade howled in pleasure. Shizune's eyes grew wide as dinner plates were taken back by this. What? Naruto. Shizune gasped mentally. Flabbergasted and mortified, Shizune immediately went to the door to question her sensei on how she could do such a thing to Naruto. Who's too young? As she opened the door, Shizune's nose was struck with the scent of sweat, and as she got in, her eyes widened seeing Naruto's huge plow into her sensei in full-on mating press. Oh my Kami. Shizune gasped mentally in shock with her hand going to her mouth. Shizune blushed, face full red, as she looked at Naruto sliding in and out of Tsunade who looked like a happy whore in heat. Both of them failed to notice Shizune in the room. Shizune was frozen still like a statue, unable to look away, her nipples hardened at the sight. She got wet, she was literally soaking while watching this. Her eyes were glued to Naruto's. How could anyone have something so inhumanly huge? From the corner of Tsunade's eyes she spotted Shizune. Wait. Shizune. Sensei. shrieked Shizune. Shizune, it's not what it looks like. Tsunade says in between moans as she felt Naruto's throb and twitch. Coming. Naruto growled, dumping another load of cum into Tsunade that her belly and womb bloated and expanded. Tsunade let out a howl of pleasure after being pumped with so much cum. Naruto pulled out of her overstuffed cunt that's overflowing with cum. As the Senju woman's body twitched and convulsed, Shizune stood there frozen as she eyed Naruto's full length that was still throbbing. He turned